Hey there, friends, family, and loved ones all. Well, I'm working on book number 13, and the title is One America, One World America. Because I asked the question a couple years back, what was it before Central, South, and North America, and the arrogance of the white supremacy USA saying, make America great again. Are you talking about South America? No. Central, no. Canada, no. America, make America great again. The oxymorons and however you in the United States. Here's a question for you. If Brazilians are called Brazilians because they live in Brazil, and Mexico and Mexicans because they live in Mexico, and Canadians because they live in Canada, why do you say they call people who live in the United States? I gotcha. Anyway, so that started me on this little journey here and into this descriptions of One America, and then I got into One World, and that led me to Pangea, and I never really looked deeply too far into it. And we know all history is a lie, but they're saying 200 million years ago, yada, yada, and these continental shelves were broken up, which I have chronicled in my work on the California coast when the coastline was 200 miles longer, further out west as recently as 1810, which I'll get into here in a minute. So I just want to take you through the process. So I'm writing this book, One America, and let me see, bring this up. Okay, and this is the story. So just like Flat Earth, you can't talk to people about Flat Earth until you educate them about the heliocentric story. So here's their story. 225 quarter billion years ago, Pangea was formed. So what can you recognize up here? Anything to do with the world. And then pay attention to these double buddies. These guys live forever down here until the end. And so here you have like Laurasia. So all of a sudden Asia's being formed by broken off here. And Gondwanaland, down here Greenland, down Iceland, kind of down there in their little circumference world. And so anyway, so this is the story about it breaking apart from onity, from unity. Okay, Pangea. And so just watch the formations. Now you can start to see Africa here. You can see Africa formation here, Africa here, Africa here. So that was from the beginning, but not so much South America. That was an break off. So that's what's interesting about that. And then all of a sudden the United States down here somehow joins down here. And then there's the break off from Africa we get to in the next pictures. So this is from the Pangea, and you can see again the unity. Here's Africa, or South America, and the whole kind of core cell from the unity of the one world, Pangea. Now check this out. When you realize America is Northwest Africa and you are indigenous. So this is, found this on Facebook, and pretty interesting. I remember first time I had this concept was when Al Gore, when he talked about inconvenient truth and really shook my world back in 2005 when he said, oh yeah, remember when Africa, and what do you think it's fit like this? And he showed an animation where it fit just like he's showing. So this is where the brownskins were all migrating from. There was no trade wars there, back then. And then when it broke apart, which was not hundreds of million years ago, but possibly as recently as hundreds of 50 years ago or so, possibly. We can see the breakup when the unity. But check out the Gulf of Mexico. It makes sense. Check out there's your Atlantis right there. All right, so we'll get into that. And also Mexico over here. So the knowledge base went from the west to the east, not the east to the west. There's more pyramids, more everything. I'll show you. And there's more pyramids in the U.S. Everything was here, but it was easy. It wasn't this big ice bridge they came across up in Alaska. Yada, yada. All right? So very interesting picture there. And here you can see a bigger shot of it with Antarctica down here, Australia, New Zealand, and on a circle map. But again, you can see the symbiosis and the fit of one Pangea when the United States, Canada, all the way down Australia were one. All right? And so that's how these cultures, Tartarians and whatnot, that's how they were all one. They were easily transported because they're all connected. As recently as Tartarians were here, as the Moors, who I'm going to get into in a second. Isn't this interesting, though? So also you see the Amazon here and the Great River here. and then Mexico, and there's California being an island right up here, which we'll get into as well. So there's an untold sort of hush history about the Moors. That's like a big secret truth, as the Moors were and are the aboriginal indigenous inhabitants of the North, Central, South America, Mexico, Canada, and all adjoining islands. The ancient Moorish Empire extended at one time from Africa and Europe to the Americas, anciently referred to as Amexem. The Moors inhabited the shores of Africa and the Americas, North, South, and Central Mexico, there's the division, and all the adjoining islands, when the lands were still connected before the great earthquake which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. The Moors are the descendants of the Africans whom inhabited the northwest and southwestern shores of Africa. The present Moroccan Empire, not kingdom, which is in the east, Al-Morocc, was established on the shores of America. So here you have another one, Northwest Africa, America, old name, tradition, Amor. So the Amoru and Kayan. So Amarakan is the people of the land of serpent. And this dominates the cultures of the most ancient of ancient cultures, down in the Mayan, down in the Toltecs, down in the Olmecs, down in the Indonesia as well, in Egypt, all same serpent beings. So Amarakan, one America, was what they were referring to, because it was all one landmass. And then we see the buried culture of how quick it takes a culture to bury. This is in Peru, Machu Picchu, and this was it before. How quickly we can forget, how quickly we can bury it. Things over. So in 1621, the word Indian was substituted for Moorish with a single alteration of the original text in 1730. Peabody Museum of American Archaeology and Ethnology, 1888. Remember, Indian was the name that Columbus said he thought he was in India because I sailed it so bad, so I was representing the Queen. I was such a bad sailor. Now we call them Indians. What an insult. No, that's to hide the brown skins. There's no such thing as black people. Their skin are brown. That's another big, huge lie they got everybody on. So you see Morocco over here, Boston. See that? The Eye of the Sahara, Atlanta, right? Atlantis right here. See how it all fits at the center of everything? So this is where the knowledge came from, and I'm going to show you how all the names are still there, because this was the one unity. This was before the big floods events and before the events like the volcanoes and everything that happened in the early 1800s. I'm going to show you in a minute. And then here's the land of the serpent over here, the wise ones, this way. Land of the eagles, take the message. Egypt up here, all the pyramids in the United States. The promised land, Putah, Utah. And look at the water all the way over here, and then the island of California, before the Great Destruction. Backwards, sideways, upside down. Let's take a look, and look what we found. Whereas consuls of the United States and Morocco are permitted to exercise jurisdiction of American nationals, 1836, the Act of Alexandria signed 1906, the use is the same jurisdiction of subjects of Morocco or others who may be designed as proteges under the Convention of Madrid signed in 1880. The United States exercised such jurisdiction. Its policy U.S. to discontinue the exercise of extraterritorial jurisdiction in Morocco at such time. Therefore, public law. This is where they took it away. But here's the lands before. This is beautiful. If you think of here's Mexico, down the Gulf down here, Baja, and then you see the Gulf of Mexico, Florida here. And these are the tribes and the original names of the tribals that were here. And you can notice the land there was land up here where there was ice, they say, all the way north. But look at all the natives. And this is just an overview of their tribal. We'll get into more. And this is a what he was saying, a Mexem, Hamamexem. And you see the Kush region here of Africa. And then you see Ham down here and Kush here. So this was all breaking up of Atlantis. And Atlantis was between, what we now know as Europe. You can see South America just right here. Everything kind of broke away that way. So the Moorish nation, which was known as the Societas Republica Americanus, which translates as the Al-Moroccan Republic Society. At the time of the founding of this country, America was called Al-Moroccan because it was part of the Moroccan Empire known as Amexem. It was transliterated into America by the colonists. and by Amerigo Vespucci. That's what they say it's named after. That's who they say America's named after in your little classes. All right, so the Ethiopian Sea, and then there's the land of Cush, and there's the weather event, Western Eastern Hemisphere. So you see how it's big divided by this big sea, the land of Atlantis now, and then the Atlantic at one time, the Nile River and everything, that was all connected. And then also the different types of natives, flora and fauna. And you notice then in Arctica and Antarctica, you got penguins and walruses, but not the two. You know, they operate differently. So one's in the very cold weather, allegedly down in Antarctica. The polar bears and up in the Arctic, there's different, and they're not the same. They're not even the same. Well, they are the same species, but so anyway, fossil remains down here in South America showed there was transbridges. Here in India, transbridges. So that shows there's all these transbridges that would make sense. You know, how did they get there unless the land was one? So the continental drift is what they said broke it apart. It could have been directed energy weapons. So this goes through the plates of North America, you see down here, and then the big, huge, massive ocean. And this is just a visual, again, how it was broken apart. Antarctica down here, and now you can see how these puzzle fits together here. You see the Atlantic Ocean. So the Atlantic Ocean was risen before. And you can see how it was one, North America, South America, Africa, big, huge river outside here, Australia, all connected. All connected. So that's how all the Tartarians, I think, and everything, all the buildings were all the same, because they were all traveling. They weren't doing these great distances by water. It was just over a period of time, which they've told us was billions of years, which may have been just hundreds, if not hundreds of years. It's possible that this was all done hundreds of years ago. So this is Laurentia, originally Africa, Arabia, South America, Antarctica, going back when it was unity. So if you don't think there was unity, then how the frick does this picture make any sense to anyone? And number two, all you engineers, all you PhDs, all you smarty pants listening, how'd they build these? Why? Who? What? And the precision, the work of art, the way the quarries that were sitting long ways away, how to transport them, the weight alone. Look at the notches in Peru, that's all over Peru, because Peru was an original culture. And they taught it back to everything. These things, a lot of these have corn on the cobwebs like this because it's the strongest structure against earthquakes. They knew how to build, and we don't know anything. We're so, ugh. Yeah, so again, the one world. So that got me from one America to one world. And here, upside down, here's the Garden of Eden in Bristol, Florida. This map lifts Florida as Ethiopia, the Kush region, the Assyria, Babylonian, Akkadian, Iran, Turkey, Lower Mesopotamia. The Assyrians were allies of the Egyptians, a.k.a. the Tamarkans, the Tamarkans, okay? So that's the Garden of Eden. I think that's down by Florida. Check this out. So this is down in the Grand Canyon, where the Shiva temple, the Isis temple, the Cheops temple, and there's been many artifacts found in. Now there's outbounders. You can't even go there anymore. But here's your mud flood events right here, folks. This is what covered it up now in big time ways, and that's now being outed and discovered. And that was the original Egypt, okay? So this is changing everybody on their head. I'm going to show how Egypt and Cairo are very related here. So this is the Red Sea. This is the Vermilion Sea, which was the California coastline. This is what they're talking about, the Great Sea. Everything's bass-backwards. Okay, stand on your head and look up, or look down. Because everything's backwards from what they told us and sold us. Because the book said. No. So this is where all the brown skins, they had their natives, they had their seas open here, the original Babylon, Mesopotamia, Egypt. How do you know? Check this out. All right, so the Mississippi River, the mighty Mississippi, it goes both ways, flows both ways. The midpoint, the middle marker in the entire Mississippi River, Louisiana, French, all that stuff that they took over, Nashville, Memphis, get that? You know, all these names in here, St. Louis and everything. the midpoint, the center point is named, what's that name right there? Cairo. Cairo, Illinois, at the center of the Mississippi River. Coinky dinky? I don't think so, because we found your heads everywhere in these caves everywhere. And then we found these artifacts everywhere. This was in Washington, D.C., the Grand Canyon, before they closed it off. There's artifacts that they found in there, the big, huge statues. And this is outside of New Mexico. You can see evidence everywhere now that there was Egyptians here. No, these are the people that were here, and then they called them Egyptians when they went there. And then here's how the proof of is the Washita, Washington, dug the mounds, yeah? Yes, we dug the mounds, the dug the mound yas. So it's the empire of the Washita dug the moundya. And this was the queen princess who was given the rights charter by the United Nations in the year 13 I think it was, for the indigenous people seat number for Veritas Tiara, the Washington Turner Gostin El Bay. And so this is recognition being the oldest indigenous civilization on Earth. Why would they do that? There's a flag. Got a little Mexico, got a little Africa in it, got a little, doesn't have that red, white, and blue show, does it? Oops. Sorry, let me go back through this. So this is all getting ready for my book here. So I lay it out like this so I can storytell, use the pictures, and then write chapters from there. All right, sorry. So Admiralty Court, which we're in, established the Western Empire. The last United States consular courts in Morocco was abolished in 1956. They abolished the last of the Moroccan courts in the United States. So that admits there was Moroccan courts in the United States. All right, so this is a good book on the Washita, Washington AC, Washington DC. Tammy, sorry. So this is the Washitas of the Data Moundya Empire. There's more mounds, more pyramids, as I said, in the United States than there is in the rest of the world. Don't teach about that. So this is cultures in South America, original cultures again, all wiped out, 6-7 million when the white guys came out, Columbus after him, and the Jesuits setting up their missions, on a mission. But the detailed maps, here's the Sea of California, the Red Sea. Look at how detailed they had everything back then. This is all not by accident. This is East Florida. And this map, what's the date on this? I forget. It's probably in the mid-1600s. But the proof is that these were all well established, well detailed. This is another 1600s map. These whole areas were well mapped out, well detailed, well known. And you can see the part that it fit right over here, Africa. And that's why, any of the trades all went to Brazil too. That's why the slave trades, which didn't occur nearly, it went all the way from this to this. It's a whole other thing I'm not getting into now, but the slave trade was reversed as they told it. So here's the viceroyalty when they started carving it up by the white guys coming over and taking over after the big flood event. You have Granada, the new Granada. Granada Granada is the origins of the grape of the seed from the truth of knowledge that Eve was told, they were told not to eat. It was a pomegranate. That's the original seed. That contained all the seeds, was a pomegranate. So that's why you see the new Granada. So that was the origins of it. But see, Spain claimed here, we got here, Louisiana Purchase got here, Great British, let's carve it up. Okay, all good. Okay, let's go. So here comes the empire. But here are the natives that were here, and just look at all the people that were wiped out, all the cultures, all the languages, all their knowledge. Oh, they were savages. Oh, they're well organized. Look at out here in California, as I'll get into how many there were. Indigenous by 1848 was the end of the 2-year battle, one battle, 2 people killed, of the Mexican-American War, of all these people. 1849 was the California Gold Rush. 1850 was California statehood, where Burnet, the first governor, gave $300 to anybody they killed of the natives because they also got their land too, and they got money from the government, and that was the real gold rush. Well, we don't want to talk about that. All right, so again, you can see the details of the tribes and the knowledge and their ways and everything just wiped off the map, their names, their cultures. That's what they're going to do about us too, folks. And this is a really good book, America, the Old World. Granada, which is Spanish for pomegranate, is a symbol of the promised land because when the pomegranate is fully bloomed, it resembles the shape of the 6-pointed Star of David, which is the symbol of Judah, Judah, Buddha. Got it? Get it. All color, man, not black. Where's black? Anybody see black? Copper, yes. Tartarian, yes. Brown, yes. Latte, yes. Shades of many. But not Indians, not blacks, that's to divide everybody up. American is a noun as originally applied to the aboriginals of the copper-colored races found here by the Europeans. Copper. Fine, but not black, and not from Africa. It's all been a cell job. Just like in the sky, like we're moving all around like at the speed of light, on this earth that's, going around the sun allegedly. Yet the North Star never moves and the Big Dipper stays there. And it's all the clock that's in the sky, which everybody used to rely on because that was the calendar of the sky. That was the clock. That's all you needed. North, fall, winter, spring. It was right up there and it was tried and true because it was always right there. Still is. We just lost that knowledge. But the pole star and North Star is the first star and the highest star that created all the rest of the stars. Therefore, this star is the first thought seed that created all life. The star constellations revolve around the pole star because of the pole star that spins the zodiac wheel of life. This clockwise rotation of the pole star is responsible for creating the electromagnetic magneticity energy that creates and sustains all life on this planet. The pole star is the blue cross that is the center of the image of the Big Dipper. This image just shows you the zodiac wheel, the swastika that revolves around the pole star, aka the Great Mother, Mata, Mother, Mater, Mother. You see how the cross and the swastika are the one and the same because they form the same system and they come from the same source of blue light. Want to look at that again? And you know how the panhandle of the Big Dipper at the bottom here points always at the North Star, so you always know where true north is. Elegant, beautiful, simple, and throne of God. All right, so back to the Moors. Amorica, Africa, Amorica. If we had agreed to take the fezzes and turbans off the Moors' heads and remove the sandals from their feet and enforce severe punishments and also to swear death between ourselves to religiously and faithfully not allow anyone to teach the Moorish children who they really were or who their forefathers were, and only allow the Moorish children to be taught that they were truly Negroes, black people, colored folks. And 200 years from today, the Moorish people would not know their nationality, nor their national name or their forefathers. Also, they would not know from which the land or ancestors that they are descended from. Freemason George Washington. Well, Washington. Getting it? Moor King of the Orient, the Americas. Old word painting of the Moor King of the Orient. Yes, the Americas was once known as the Orient, aka the West Indies, India. Get it? The palm trees indicate the Americas. The bows and arrows and feathers is a custom of the Moors, Berber Indians from the Americas. Anybody know who this is? Anybody say Mother Gaia? Turtle Island? Old world statue of Hindu goddess Yamuna standing on a turtle shell, Turtle Island, aka the Americas, which is more evidence that India Superior, Asia Major, was in North America, aka the Orient, the true East, because goddess Yamuna is a Hindu Indian goddess. Why is the statue of a goddess Yamuna good evidence? Well, because the America was known as Turtle Island. This is known fact because that the American landmass looks like a giant turtle from the sky. How did they know? Goddess Yamuna was the wife of Krishna, the Indian Christ, and she symbolized Eve, or Isis, which is the Mother Mary principle of love. Isis. Take a look at this. Turtle Island. 13 moons and 28 days all in the turtle shells. This equals 364 days plus 1 day of rest. All the indigenous people around the world knew the wisdom of the turtle and followed a 13-month calendar after all. There are 13 moon cycles in a year and 27, 29 days per cycle. Elegant, simple, beautiful, female. Wiped off it. So Turtle Island was the first to come up, and I'll get into that another time, but back to the Moors. This is Florida, Morda. So this is the land of flowers, and in this post is 1657 map of La Floridas that is identical to the 1741 map of the Carolina that was shared above. Since the map of La Floridas is identical in size, shape, and location, we're dealing with the same land and territory. Las Floridas is that it has the Tamaracans and Tamaracans written above the plaque of Florida. Tamaria is the old name for ancient Egypt, and it means land of Mary or Mauritania, and the land of the Moors. La Florida, or Carolina, Lower Ethiopia, Egypt, used as part of the Ouachita proper, aka Louisiana County. This landmass was indeed Tamaria, the Moors' island, the Moors' land, or the land of the Moors. Look how big La Florida used to be and covered several states, reaching all the way over into Texas and reached all the way up to Canada. Texas and several other states used to be a part of Mexico. The descendants of the North American Moors are the present-day Iroquois, Aliquins, Anasazis. Just these are all that native Indian names. See how they converted it? They just flipped it. Simple, easy, quick. So why is we see the same distance, coincidence, Equator, Mesopotamia? Same cultures, because they were one and the same. All right, so this is the case I'm making, that everything went from west to east, not east to west. This is just, how many cities, okay, we got Lebanon, yeah, we know Lebanon. How many cities in each town where you know or live is named after something in Europe, as we're told? Nah, other way around. It was here, they took it and exported it over 1 Europe. They took the names they wanted and took it over from the names that were here. Check it out. Lebanon. Mount Lebanon. Venice. What's this one? Oh, this is Italy backwards. So this is Italy part 2. Here's Italy part 1. Look at all the names of Italy. You can see the cultures that are all named after, quote, Europe, but actually were here. And then they're so powerful, they went and migrated over there. And they said where they're from when they came from here. It was the exact opposite of what you've been told, lied to. Ireland. IADs, that's the Ds. So you can see all these names: Berlin, Germany, Paris, France. This is all in the United States, folks. Okay? Cairo on the river. Not by chance. I mean, this is all laid out. Why did they all come here and all settle? Because that's where I'm from. No, this is where they're all from. And then they went over there and they want to name it after, so that's why Europe got named this and that. Bass, backwards, upside down, on your head, round and round. Check it out. Zip codes, U.S. named after capital cities in Europe. See where the pattern is? See where the trend is? What does it look like? Continental divide right here, the left alone people until the Great Invasions in 1850, setting up shop. 1848, this was all one unit, one Mexico, brownskins, happy, leave me alone. So this is Turkey, Lebanon, areas named after it too. I mean, it's just ridiculous, ancient world, and this is all in the United States. Missouri, Antioch, places have all these names that were taken over to Europe. And there's the indigenous population, the people that were here. How many are left and where they're left, heat map. They got 80% or more. These are the reservations they're left at. Marched them down here. Here's Arizona and stuff. We treated them like garbage. We still do. And then, again, the country flags, red, white, and blue. How do you know? Because they're all the same color, red, white, and blue. I don't care what the name says. They're all a corporation. I don't care what the name says. They're all a corporation. It's a land of the legal. And then when I get into blockchain, it's going to be the land of the internet. All right, so again, just the American continent. America is not the United States. North, Central, and South America. Why did they divide it up into that? America has 35 countries, including, right? And this is where they started the great breakup. And this is Columbus's journeys that he made to discover America. Look where he landed. He got here to Haiti, he got here, but it wasn't until he got to his fourth trip, where he finally got around the corner and got to actual, part of the continent of America on his trip. And this is where he met Queen Califia and all that stuff. So it's amazing and look how far he had to go for all this. So again, stories tried and true. I mean, that's 1492. And the population of America outnumbered that of Europe. Yes, there was 95%. Within a generation, disease spread across the world, killing 95% of the people. Like I said, 6 million, 7 million people just wiped off the map, relocated, cultures lost, all these names here. I bring back in my books a lot of these in California, their names and tribes. This is California alone. So this is, I think I counted 78, 79 tribes that were just wiped off the map. And look at up here in the north, this is all the resources. All the copper mines were and all the redwood giants were, and they've been left alone for thousands of years until white man came here and pillaged it. And the coastline was 200 miles further out too. That's another story. But you can see all the tribes and all the languages, all lost, all gone. And that was by 1850. First thing they did is they created 27 counties in California and wiped all this off the map. Wiped all their cultures off the map. Now you got a parking lot here and an RV park named Wintu. You got Pomo campgrounds. It's so absurd what we've done to these people and their cultures. Now look what we do. You think we're being micromanaged, folks? Close your eyes and tell me which is the city and which is your computer board. I'll wait. You don't think we've been owned and operated for a long time. They gave us smallpox blankets. This is the Nessus shirts they gave to the natives, which killed them off with the smallpox in the blankets. They've had this, forever. Death by, 1500s. So labor system, take it over. They take it over. The name they gave us, Encomienda, and that's we command you. A native of America originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. But now applied to. We just changed it. So the elimination of the brownskins, as I said, here's the 27 counties that were papered over. That was there in 1849. Now it's 1850. Don't exist anymore. Thank you for playing. All these brownskins, we call up Indians. No, we call them Africans. No, we call them, make you all these different. They're all the same. The brownskins of different color. Native copper, Tartarians, Moors, all the same. And they had giants too, which I didn't get into in this. But again, statehood was here, and they divided up all the counties, and there you go. And then the elaborate, amazing, incredible pyramids that are just the ones that are being let to be seen under all this foliage they have under it. So you have these great buildings that were sophistication that the Egyptian pyramids and everything else were designed after. These were much bigger. These were much faster. These ball courts. Everything was much more sophisticated, except the laborious ones of the kind of style of the Egyptian period is more dramatic, let's say. But this was all, when you get into these pyramids and how they're built according to the heavens, according to gematria, according to sacred geometry, over big, long distances, and time to the year where you hear your echoes, the sounds go, the dragon go up. I mean, it's incredible. And guess what this is? Oh, wait. These are hydroponics, and these are all pools like Bethesda that back in Europe, where Bethesda, Maryland comes from. And these are healing ponds. They used to have water to heal. And so they drill down and use these elaborate waters. They wouldn't drill down. How they open these, we don't know. But they go down into lower sources, and they have different temperatures of water and different access to different aquifers. And so they build these all elaborate. This is all down in Peru, and the aqueducts of the Nazcas. And Nazca's lines you were aware of. So look at these, how elaborate these were, and who built them, and how they built them still, and how look at the details. And these were the healing waters. This is part of their healing. This is what they used to heal people with, water, just like the star forts. And we were all one under the dome, and so that was culture has been hidden from us. That's why the heliocentrics, they think they're right because they're the most common thought. But you go back, and this is what convinced me, you go back to ancient thought, and everybody's on your team. And then you get into great work like Martin Kenny and others who elaborate the dome being out in these old cultures with the different spheres, and it just makes so much sense. I've published before about this, and then it also dovetails exactly with the Mayans and the ancient cultures of this universal energy dimensional being of creation that we are such an elegant big part of. It's mind-blowing to think. And then these guys come and say, nope, you do what we say or we kill you. Bye. Right. So do you think these pyramids around the world, let me see, Mexico, let me see, China, Egypt, all built the same thing. And they're all based on what? All the same. Everyone all the same. No, different. Everybody different. Everybody's all the same. No. Pyramids can't be the same. No, it's not the same. So how do you explain it unless they were all on the same page, folks, building these pyramids? Elegant, to the heavens, using earth, energy. They're using us as transistors now. Look what they were using before. They were harvesting energy, consciousness, everything, making it into the ideology until the dark side, the men in black, those that are doing satanic now, with our children. But we were all the same at one time, same consciousness doing the same thing. So here's flat Earth about before with a map centuries ago, 10 centuries. But all these wonders of the world that said were existed way back in time, there's no way they could have built them with the horse and buggy, and that's been the whole Tartarian thing. But that's in the one unity that they all have very similar designs as well. Like this aqueduct down in Morocco. Elegant, huge. They had a sophisticated culture. And they also had, I'm not sure what this is, pyramids of same gematria, same ley lines of Earth's energies, same principles of design and thought using the heavens spiritually as ascension points. That's what the Egyptian pyramids are. That's what the tomb is. You lay in there. Napoleon can only stay in there one night. He had to flee because it gives you downloads your consciousness, full consciousness. And so that's what the pyramids, a lot of them are designed to do. Others are harvesting energy. Oh, tombs. They built these for tombs for big kings that owned a lot of money. So we did all the slave labor and dragged it up the hill. God, what a, never question anything, right? So just if you don't question anything, question this. How the frickin', that's like a person size, that little thing right there. How you tell me. Respect for our elders, yes. How we did it today, we don't know, but they had mind over matter capabilities. I'm sorry this is so small, but you can see all the same pyramids around the world. There we go. So again, how did they all create the same pyramid structures? They're selling us on one when all these other ones don't get talked about at all. Okay? So that's what I'm saying is all around the world, in China and in the Sudan, in Indonesia, in Mexico, in Italy. And again, the Western has more, Mexico and the United States. How did these all get built like this? What was all things that are all based on the same exact principles? Same thought, different design, different culture, different creation. What do you think, folks? Diverse and beautiful, connected to source. Diverse and beautiful, connected to source. It was all their elegant designs. And they're all connected to the same source, doing their own thing. Free will. We've lost that knowledge. We'll get it back now. Again, the 3 pyramids all lined up together with the other ones. How is that possible unless they had this incredible knowledge of... And then we see underground, there was the great floods. We see pyramids below, too, underwater, off of China, off of Mexico. We see underwater these great elegant designs of Egyptians when the great flood happened. Atlantis under. It's all one. And again, it was America, one America. That was the premier. That was the turtle that came up off the back. So these are underground, under China, I think. Japan, I think. That's a great picture. So this is all showing the great flood events, and this is my thesis, antithesis to presentation of one island. There's 800 maps detailed in the Stanford Library of California being an island. And then don't do that. And then one Jesuit priest, Kino, tells the Spanish king that it's not an island, and the king declares it. And that was that. End story. But look at the mountains. Look at the islands in here. This is the Red Sea that used to be here. Look at the open-ended it was. Okay? Couldn't get there. That was written by Queen Califia. Well, it was one island. That's my thesis is you can see the arid land here. This is where Salt Lake City, Great Salt Lake down here. But look at the arid land. All this landmass was a different type completely than the fertile lands of Sacramento, which used to be the Vermilion, the Red Sea, Vermilion, Red Sea. Okay? And so here's California. It's already got names, California names on here already, Santa Barbara and whatnot. So here's the opening all the way up to the top here. This could be the 4 ranges of Mount Hood, Mount Rainier, forget the other 2. I'll think of them in a minute. Anyway, so this was why they couldn't cross over here, because it was still water. Okay, you see, excuse me again. You see how this landmass is over here? This was all water they couldn't get across, and that's the Great Salt Lake. And that's why they couldn't get to California Island that's why, okay, and look at this opening right here. This is what I'm talking about, Nevada being all water. That's why not until 1849 could the 49ers with the Donner Party get across for the gold rush, get across the Salt Lake. Because up until then, it was too rough to get across because it still used to be the Great Salt Lake until the Great Flood. And now the Salton Sea directly below that, off of L.A., floods right into Tijuana and out to the ocean. So it's very plausible it could have been a recent event. That California was an island up until 1810 to 1820, ruled by Queen Califia with her Griffin, Rainbow Island, that Columbus said he met. And look at the coin here with California being an island. See right here? Why would they make coins? Gold coins in 1628. Look down here at the bottom. 1628, Montanazes Bay in Cuba, the only known representation of California as an island. They struck a silver coin. You tell me. So, mutineer, Herman Cortez expedition, Mexico, landed in the peninsula, so he mistook it for an island. Another wrong sailor at sea that changed history. First it was Columbus, thought I was there. Completely wrong direction, sorry. But it's flat. No, it's not. I proved it. And then Cortez, expedition Mexico, big guy. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. So this is the Esplanadian that the whole story about Californian island and the terrestrial paradise comes from, peopled by black women. Without any man among them, they live in the manner of the Amazons. And that's why the gold was left alone, and they found 240-pound gold in California, which I chronicle, and all the copper mines that they buried under Lake Shasta, and they buried under Lake Almanor, and they buried under Lake Berryessa, and they buried under Folsom Lake. That used to be copper mines because it was rich in that, not to mention the 3,000-year-old redwood trees like they'd never seen anywhere else in the world. That they were so big they had to ship right away to fairs all across the world because they'd never seen redwood trees like that. Validating that California was an island in many ways. But this again is in the Stanford Library, and they admit it openly. So you look at Del Rio and the Concepcion. Here's the 4 islands I'm talking about here. And this is the land of La Gigante, the land of the giant, right here. See, and this is where they couldn't get across. This was land over here. This isn't land here. This is all water. This is where the Great Salt Lake, I mean, this is why they couldn't get across until 1849. So this whole detailed map here, and again, the unknowns apart, because there's all water. They couldn't, this is all the Great Divide. And then Utah was the edge of it. And then once that became opened because of the great event, the water flooding event, they were finally able to get to California Island. And the California coastline went on for 200 more miles. If you look at a Google map. So just again, visually to show you what I'm talking about. So here's Utah. Okay, just look at the terrain. Look at what's green. You know, we're just focusing in on here. Use this one. Go that way. All right, so here's fertile, green, and here's dry. Look at the flow. Look at the way the energy flows. And if it flows down, look, it can flow easily. That was all water flowing out. Look, it's still flowing out, still flowing out. Wait, here's Mexico here. You know, now that's green again. So you can make a case that this was an island easily, starting down here. It's just Sacramento, whatever. But here's the point I'm making about the coastline, is notice the coastline here. And if you take this let's say to San Francisco, you're talking, let's say, 30 miles as the crows flies. Look at the shelves. Look at the continental shelves that are off here. This is water. This is where it extended out to. Okay? And this is the drop-off. That's why the white guys couldn't get off their boats here, because look at the shelf they had to encounter when the water level, when California was an island, was over here. They couldn't get up the wall. I said landmass was over here, and there's this huge wall facing them they couldn't get at. You know, it goes all the way up and down, and here's the big energy point. It goes all the way to China, and then the other one coming this way, and the San Andreas Fault. So anyway, so this shelf here was water. California's island was here. It's really clear when you look at it this way. This is where the gold was, copper mines all up here, redwood forest, and they just left them alone. The natives did. This was all fertile, sacred land that was ruled by Queen Califia. So that's my premise anyway. All right, so back to my storyboard. So now you can see how Gulf of Mexico, how all this was parts unknown in California Island. And then this is another little known fact that you should absorb here just to relate these stories, because this is truth that isn't disseminated. In this 1815 Mount Tambora. Now we all know about Krakatoa, covered the earth. Yeah, that's the global climate change. That's when we found out Deming, Krakatoa. You never hear about Tambora, which is 5 times bigger. What? Yeah, this is the one in 1815 where New York City, New York State, it was the starved, the famine, because the temperature didn't get above 20. The average temperature was 20 degrees in New York City over the summer. 24 degrees, I think. 26. Because it was the winter without a summer, they called it. And that's because this thing erupted and covered the whole place. This is back and also when the Mississippi went side backwards. This is 6,000 earthquakes. This is also when California became an island. This whole period I talk about, the resettling. So when I'm propositioning is when things started cracking up. Here's the Mississippi that, remember Cairo, and that flowed the different direction, and then had 6,000 earthquakes. Could be heard all the way around, all the way to Philadelphia, and Washington said rang the bells there. Went on for 2 years, 6,000. And the Mississippi flowed the other way. That was the Continental Divide. Why do they call it the Continental Divide? It's back to my thesis here, given the continental shelf here, where the landmass was greater before the Great Flood, and then when the Great Excavation, the Great Flood happened, that this landmass became this, and then the coastline became this in California, and they took out the Queen because they could get to her. So these are native flood stories backing up, not just making it up. Also, they have decorations about the great floods, escaping from land that sunk into the ocean, Atlantis. California flood was massive. And then also notice they have floods in 1810 and 1861, 62. The 1862 one, that put in, that had 10 feet of water in Sacramento for the entire year. So this Governor Lyon Stanford had to rule from San Francisco because it was because of the great arc storm, which they say is coming again. But note the 1810, and then note the term arc storm. That's what they're associating with the great floods, which are threatening to hit us with again out here in Queen Califia land. Queen Califia is still on the symbol of the state seal of California. Did you know? All right, so here's the mud flood stuff. I don't want to get it too far into. We're finding mass evidence of these great, great events which buried civilizations, just buried them. Fire. No, buried them. And Texas flooding from a melt at worst. Deluge stopped some. Again, the flooding theme is being played out. This is out here in our Queen Califia land, Gurneyville. You know, we're getting burned out, flooded out. This guy's having a joy. Just have a little fun. Yeah. So you think about their flooding out theme and that they can do with the weather because they own the weather 2022. And they can dump it anywhere they want, microgridding. And they can do it really great masses. Look at, they brought the buildings down. And so the new dollar bill, $100 bill, when folded up like a flame, shows water coming through, just like the day after tomorrow with Dennis Quaid. And that's the great flood that everybody worries about in Florida, should worry about. And it's also, they're telling you they're going to flood New York out. That's also been played out in many different themes. I just picked this one. And speaking of themes, this Washington, D.C. was laid out for very specific themes. Taking over, casting their mark, putting satanic symbolism everywhere they go. And it's not by accident. They laid it out. It's their turf, their lands. They're in control. It's their power. Oh, and in gratitude to John Carroll, the richest man at the time, the Jesuit, who founded Georgetown University Jesuit School, who, how many people went there, was founded 6 months before Washington, D.C., with land donated by John Carroll, which the land used to be called Rome, Maryland. I 'tis to the great land of liberty, of the God bless America. What the? It's a corporation, folks. It's not a country. Wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Federal government holds the office of president, the law-making Congress, and the supreme law of the land. What was the day, month, and year of its founding? Don't know. Who donated the land for Washington, D.C.? Well, I just gave that one away. What university did he just found 6 months? I gave that one away, too. What was the city of Maryland named before it became federal capital? Rome, Maryland. What was the earlier name for the Potomac River? Tiber. So who was the White House named after? Andrew White, first archbishop that landed on the shores on a boat called the Freemason in Jamestown. What state did he found, and what was his religion and title? What are the names of the 7 hills, same as Washington, D.C.? And then here's the great flood in the background with the District of Columbia, another tidal wave coming. Washington, D.C. and New York. Are they going to say anything in Barry? Is that what they're saying? Symbolism for the simple-minded. You know, look at where the ISIS, the king, the queen, the 666, the White House. Remember, nobody's been in the White House. It's been shut down for 2 years now. Nobody's inside. So again, who are we honoring? Who are we praising? What are we honoring when we say this? Well, they're all Freemasons, folks. You check it out. Here's the lodges. Here's their site. Go look it up for yourself. Who are you entrusting? Who do you want? And I've got the Knights of Malta and the rest of them list too. Again, we're being played. It's their theme, their game. We're just pawns. We got to understand that they got everybody. I was watching the Michigan State game, 80,000 people in the toilet bowl. I said, you ever get them to wake up to what's happening with the you-know-what? Pick a subject. Ain't going to happen. So this is just groups that you've never heard of, Le Cirque, Pilgrim Society, Nature Trust. These are all the foundations they're supporting. Maybe some of these you may know. I mean, they're layers on layers on layers on layers, so to think it's going to change is wishful when they've been playing this game for so long. So focus our energies on what we want, not on what they're doing to us. That's all we can do. They're taking the system down and owning us, and that's the game. But look at the Moors. Look at the Moor fetters. See that? Look at all this, the Knights of Malta, but they're honoring who? The Moors. Moorish, America, Sammy Davis, Knights of Malta. But again, they got the fez, just like Flintstones had them too. There's Edgar Hoover wearing one. There's President. So again, the Moors were here first, big time. And again, the Masons, famous Masons, Harry Truman, Churchill. I mean, they own the club, and we're not in it, as George Carlin said. Now, so I used to think oh yeah, the Masons, wow, they were up, and then all of a sudden I realized, fuck, where's the stars? Wait, where's the stars? Oh, the stars don't come out because the light's so bright. Gotcha. Admiral Byrd, 33 Freemason. Here's his lodge numbers. Check it out for yourself. First one report on Antarctica. First one report on Antarctica. Back to the Rockefellers, 27,000 pages. Who are we following, listening to? Hey, here's my guys. Bush with his Freemason buddies all around the White House. Here's your hierarchy if you want to look it up. But that's just the lowest level, guys. This is what they want us to just look at. So, anyway, I kind of went off there at the end, but to bring it back, I think if you find the One America subject, when it was, maybe it was that Cairo was originated on the Mississippi. Maybe it was that the migration went from west to east. Maybe it was that Mexico City was the Jerusalem, Salem, right? Salem, Washington. There's Salem, Oregon. Salem, Massachusetts. There's Salem, Mexico, where the origins, and all the Yucatan and on Peru, where the origins were in the west. The Turtle Island went west after she raised herself on, and she contacted whatever the rest of the source from the west to the east. Just making the proposition there. Love to hear what you think in the comments. Thanks for listening. Hey, I got it in under an hour. Anyway, love to hear your thoughts on this. It's kind of a new subject for me too. But this is what my book's going to be on. One America. Thanks.